Hello, I am back with another blonding hair tutorial. So this is one of my favorite things to do in the salon lately, especially because I feel like it's a huge trend that a lot of blondes are jumping on, and that is going from being pretty bright and solid blonde to still being blonde but adding in dimension, giving it a more lived-in look, adding more depth in the root and making it more low maintenance. So I'm going to show you my favorite technique for something like this. So the great thing about colors like this is that they do not require a lot of lightener or bleach, so we are just focusing foils in the money piece area. I always like to go off of the client's natural hairline. Hers is pretty straight across her forehead, but she does have a little bit of a curve, so I'm going to follow that curvature. I am mainly working in the middle, but you will see that I pivot some foils left to right just to make sure that I'm following the curvature of her exact hairline. So here I'm starting a little bit on the left, then I'll pivot over to the right and then do the center and then continue up that way. I am just doing baby lights back to back. I want this to be a pretty impactful piece, but I don't want it to look stripey or chunky. The key to lived-in blonde is you do need this front to be really bright. You need it to pop, because if you don't do foils in the front, it's gonna look a lot more just like regrowth than it will a lived-in color. Okay, so for this technique, typically I work in a T-part. I'm starting in the front since I did those foils first. I'm just going to continue off of those sections. So I did that little bang box in the front with the lightener, and then I did a T-part off of the part that she naturally has her hair fall in. Now I am going up each section, as you can see here, taking a section about this thick, weaving out, and then dividing those two sections that I weaved onto one side and another side so that there's two sections of hair. Everything in that back section that I moved away, I am now coloring, and this is all going to be my low light per se. It's going to be the depth that I'm adding in, and then everything that I weaved towards the front is going to be just the blonde, and I'm actually going to tone it down at the bowl. So all of this low light is going to be that dark depth, and then that blonde is being untouched until we tone it down. No other bleach or lightener is required. The nice thing about this technique is it truly is work smarter, not harder. In the past, I used to just do a bunch of foils, whether it was a full low light or some lightener foils with low lights, and it would just take a lot longer. And this is basically the same thing. It's just a million times easier and quicker, and it gives you such a nice result. I don't think I can ever do a lived-in blonde without doing it this way now. Becky Miller is actually the one who created this technique, and I think she does have online education that shows how to do it. I saw a few videos just like on her TikTok and Instagram, and then just kind of figured it out. I may do it a little differently. I actually don't know because I haven't seen her official videos, but I've just kind of seen it floating around and wanted to try it out. And everyone might do this technique a little differently, but if you're wanting like an in-depth tutorial, you can go purchase her education videos. But basically, after you apply the low light, you're going to braid, and then you braid the dropouts that you're keeping blonde as well to keep everything separated. Now that we are at the bowl, I am going to be doing a low light color. We also did a root color at the chair. I usually do that before I apply the low light. I forgot to say that, but I will base them and then I'll do the low light and then braid everything. And that way here at the bowl, the only root color that I need to apply is right here in the front where those foils are, just to soften those foil lines, blend it in really well. The objective is obviously to keep this money piece really bright so that it stands out, but I also, like I said before, don't want it chunky, so this is just going to help blend everything in really nicely. And I'm going to let this sit about 15 minutes, and then we are going to be toning the mids to ends. So now that that front root color is applied, we are going to be toning the mids to ends. We didn't do the root color anywhere else, like I said, so we're just kind of taking these sections and working through it. And it's smart to keep your client sitting upright for this, especially if they have long, thick hair like she does. And we're just working our way through those small sections, saturating very evenly and working everything through. And then I always leave the front for the very end. And then depending on the client and the result they want, I'll either use that same formula and just tone the front very last and not have it sit as long so that it's a little brighter. Or you can also do a toner that is just a level lighter and do that on the front pieces so that it's brighter as well. I just did the same formula here, but I left it for the end. And then I take my multi-use brush and just kind of work it all together until I am ready to rinse and shampoo out.